Good morning and a very happy morning to all of you. I'm honored to share this stage with all my esteemed co-panelists. I would like to thank Franchise India to give me this opportunity to talk to all of you. I will share a few lines about myself to let you know how I can share my experience with you today. In some way or the other, try to touch your hearts, your minds, and your souls. I started my career as the head copywriter for Saubhagya Advertising. I worked with Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, SBI. I was then the head trainer for a multinational bank, HSBC. I entered the education industry as a parent of 2, went on to head 11 schools, and now I finally stand before you as the co-founder and executive director of IRIS Florets. I've conducted seminars and training sessions at ISB, IIPM, and CBSE schools as well. I am going to start today's session a little differently. I'll give you 10 seconds to come up with the first word that comes to your mind when I say early childhood education. I would address it to my co-panelists as well. I'll start the countdown to make it more adventurous. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. First word that comes to your mind. Joy. Beautiful. Fun. Massive development. Anyone else from the audience? Magical, I love that word. One or two more? Express, yes? Play. Love. Clay. Okay, love. Thank you. Now you're wondering why I made you do this exercise so early in the morning. I wanted to show all of you that we as adults are different, unique. Look at the words we come up with. Our thinking process, the way we deliver it is different. So when we're talking about the tiny angels that enter our preschools, they are unique, different, and special. This exercise was to remind you that when we look at them like this, that is the foundation of any early childhood education, to look at each child individually. I would first like to address the very important point of teachers as a professional workforce. I admit that we've mostly looked at teachers as a traditional workforce, starting right in India from Swami Vivekananda, then moving on to Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam. Now, what had changed from then to now? I would say new discoveries, new technologies, of course. The way children learn and this has undergone a sea of change. It is thus imperative that we look at teachers now as a professional workforce. Though for me, I would say it a bit differently, though for me this doesn't start with training this workforce. For me, this starts right at the root. This starts from the very selection process of this workforce. I'm looking at parameters such as the minimum qualifications required, the minimum skills to be possessed, be it vocal or on the job, the ability to stand before a class of 42-year-olds and still be able to grab the attention of all. So we, as a preschool committee, can compel the teachers to become the professional workforce that we're looking at. With this selection process, I assure you, half our job is done. We can then fine-tune them, groom them at various development programs that are essential to cope with the changing face of education and equip the children with the very latest in education trends. And why shouldn't we do that? Why shouldn't we make them a professional workforce? Haven't we all upgraded ourselves from the tiny little Nokia that we carried around in college to the big iPhones and the Samsungs of today? So why not the education sector, the early childhood education sector? Next, I would like to throw light on establishing a very efficient measurement of process of the effectiveness of preschool programs. At IRIS, we call it the triangle of progressive learning. Please tell me, how many points does a triangle have? All of you know that. Show it with your hands. 3 points. You're right. The first point is the child. Then comes the teacher or the educator. Can you tell me what the third point is? Parent. That's exactly what I was looking for. In this forum, from yesterday till today, we have missed this third point, a very important factor, which is the parent. I believe since the child spends only 3 hours in school and the rest of the time that the child spends is at home, then it is imperative that we join hands with the parent as educators to get the best out of preschool education. This, of course, also means measuring the effectiveness. It is quite simple. I divide it into 2 parts. The measuring, of course. One is at school, one is at home. At school, we set comprehensive but essential observation parameters to measure the effectiveness of any preschool program. By observation, I of course mean the observation of the child, because the child is the testimony of the effectiveness of what we have tried to achieve in any preschool. I will give you very simple, ground-level examples of the same. How the child interacts with his fellow classmates, how he contributes in a team activity. All these will help us understand the child as a team player or a leader. Another example of observing, the problem-solving skills of a child. Again, this is one of the most essential skills to be possessed by anybody, including children. Through free play and art and craft, we can observe the creativity of the child. All these, again, we are talking about teachers and the children. Now comes the catch. We have similar observation parameters for the parents to observe and then discuss with us. This can be made very simple through a written checklist, or can be a detailed discussion between the teacher and the parent. A simple example of this is, at IRIS, we teach the children to receive guests and how to behave in front of guests. We do this through role plays, we do this through a miniature drawing room setup. We then speak to the parents, ask the parents to observe the child when a guest comes in. Again, we are measuring the effectiveness of that one small program that we've undertaken, and we're done. So you see, it is only when the educators join hands with the parents of the child we want to educate that it becomes easy to measure the effectiveness of any preschool program. Now, for all of us to understand how all this is possible, that is the effective teaching, the measurement of effectiveness of preschool programs, we need to have standardized instruction materials. When we want to buy an iPhone, we're looking for standardized iPhones, or we're looking for Samsungs, we're looking for standardized phones. When we want to buy a car, we're again looking for standardized cars, the very best, completely equipped. Now, when we are trying to educate the tiny preschoolers who form the future of this country and the world, then why not have standardized procedures for preschool education, including the process, including the procedures, including the materials, including the tools, which I'm sure will be addressed by my co-panelists as well. In conclusion, I would like to say that the mantle of preparing and delivering the right environment to the preschoolers lies with all of us connected to early childhood education. Let us use this opportunity wisely. Thank you.